Hi, we've rated the Strata Navi Mumbai Opportunity 2, which happens to be an office space. It's a pre-lease fractional ownership proposal, and we've rated it 7.9 on 10. Hi, this is Raj Shah.
Hi, this is Rishi Deria. We are from Invest in Pre-lease. We help you profit from curated pre-lease proposals.
If you like this video, please subscribe, like, and share the video. Besides that, if you're looking at investing, here's the reason why you should invest through Invest in Pre-leased. The reason why is because we keep your interest at heart, which means whether it's physically going and visiting the property, which we have in this case, and also going through documentation. Besides that, we also have access to either the CEO or the absolute top management, so that if you need any help while onboarding or during the lifetime of the entire proposal or the transaction, we are here to support you. Besides that, between Rishi and I, we've got 20 years of real estate experience. And finally, we don't charge you any additional fees for our service. So with that, we're expecting a call. So now we deep dive into the analysis of this particular opportunity. And Rishi, what do you think about the tenant?
Great. Raj, tenant is one of the natural gas pipeline operator. It's backed by one of the asset management company. Brookfield is the company. We know how this industry is shaping up. They are operating a pipeline between Kinada and Bharuch with several stops of in between where they are distributing the natural gas. So we know that this industry has a lot of barriers, and this tenant is actually backed by a good company. So I think going ahead, we can give them 0.3 on 0.5. They have 260 of end of employees being established for a good time now. So all in all, we can go for a 0.3 on 0.5 for this particular tenant. Now, whether yes,
So what exactly does the tenant do? Could you explain a little more the
of course,
actual
yes.
use case?
Of course. So basically, tenant is, like I said, a natural gas pipeline distributor. They have been operating this pipeline. So they distribute this gas to various industries. They have clientele from various industries like fertilizer, chemicals, refineries. And we know that this being a raw material for all these industries and having various applications, this tenant is doing that, and it's in the distribution of that particular natural gas. Moving on to whether this is a Fortune 500 or global or India Fortune 100, we unfortunately, this company doesn't qualify for either of it right now, and that's the reason we have given 0 on 0.25. Raj, what about the profitability of this company?
So currently the company is not profitable, and that's why we have given it 0 on 0.25. If you want any documentation related to that, please call us and we'll be happy to share that. Rishi, what do you think of the industry outlook?
So we look at this industry in terms of the kind of applications that it has. For example, in an industry, like I said, natural gas is a raw product for a lot of industries, refineries, petrochemicals. You have the industry that's doing requirement of natural gas for various processes and the infrastructure. So we know that we are seeing a lot of infrastructure work in progress and being having a lot of applications and not being dependent on single industry. I think this industry has a good future in the coming time. So we can give 0.25 on 0.25 for this particular point as well.
With that, that takes our tally to 0.55 on 1.25. So we now move on to knowing your asset. Rishi, what about the asset grade?
Yes, Raj. So this asset is basically a 40-acre development, a part of 40-acre development by L&T. Seawoods Dharaway Railway Station, it was a project that was awarded to L&T. They had bid for it in way back in 2007, and they got this 40-acre development. So when we look at this as a whole, it's a 1.7 million square feet of an office space development, 1.5 million square feet of retail space, and you have 1,500 apartments which are there in the vicinity. It's right on Seawoods Dharaway Railway Station. So looking at the asset grade, we know the quality that L&T builds, and we have physically visited this asset. So this product has got a part OC in 2016, and probably they have completed the project by 2017, and they have got some good tenants on board as well. So asset grade is a good glass facade, good asset. We have physically visited, so we can definitely vouch for this. The only concern that we share is because it's a 6-year-old asset with some minimal touches that were required, and that's the reason we have taken that 0.1 away, and we are giving 0.4 and 0.5 for this particular asset. Raj, what's your take on the IGBC and the OC received?
So IGBC is Indian Green Building Council rating. The reason why we use this is to check what sustainable practices are being used at the building. In this case, this is a gold certified building, so it gets 0.25 on 0.25. Now, why this is important is because, as you can see, we are threatened with the climate change. The air quality in Bombay has gone down in the last couple of weeks. And besides, having a certain amount of social responsibility, by corporates. It also makes business sense because an IGBC rated building, because they're going to use sustainable energies or water management, etc., the cost of operating for the maintenance goes down, and that helps the owners. In this case, if you're looking at investing, it's going to be a benefit. In terms of the OC received, occupation certificate, yes, it's been received. So therefore 0.25 on 0.25 there. Can it be subdivided with independent access? Yes, this premises can be divided with the independent access. Again, this is important because tomorrow as an owner, if you want to give this out to multiple tenants, let's say 2 tenants in the future, then you want to have that provision. In this case, it's there. So therefore 0.25 on 0.25 there. Rishi, what about the asset location?
Yes, thanks, Raj. So for any asset with along with the tenant and the grade, it's very important where it is located. Now, in this particular case, we see a lot of plus points with this asset. This asset, like I rightly said, this is on the railway station, that's Seawoods Dharavi railway station, and your bank. So it's like 0 meters from where you are, where you can catch a train. This is 4 kilometers away from the nearest Seawoods water taxi terminal, which is up and running, where you have waterways to travel through. You are 7 kilometers away from the upcoming airport, Navi Mumbai Airport, which is talk of the town, which should be operational another 2 to 3 years. That will be 7 kilometers away. You have Mumbai International Airport 35 kilometers away from this particular asset. You have Trans Harbour Sea Link, the new road which is connecting Nhava Sheva and Sivri, that is South Mumbai, which will bring down the travel time by more than an hour. So basically, that is approximately 10 kilometers away from this particular site. You are 10 kilometers away from the Vashi Bridge and 1.5 kilometers away from the Pune Expressway. So all in all, when we look at this asset and the connectivity, we are absolutely clear. Yeah, you have upcoming CBD Belapur metro station, which is 3 kilometers away from this particular asset. So all in all, we know this is ticking all the boxes right from connectivity perspective. It has a good future, and that's the reason we are going with 0.7 0.75 for this particular point.
Right. So that takes our total to know your asset as 1.9 on 2. Now we get on to knowing the deal. In terms of the duration, it's a 9-year agreement with 6.5 years pending. We want a minimum of 5 years. So therefore, we give it 0.25 on 0.25. In terms of the lock-in, the minimum we need is 3 years. There's a 5.5-year lock-in left. So 0.3 on 0.3 there. In terms of the penalty or a corporate guarantee, which means that if they vacate before the lock-in period, what happens? They're supposed to be paying the balance amount. So we check whether this particular clause is covered in the legal document, in this case, the leave and license agreement, and therefore we give it 0.2 on 0.2 there. Whether this is a registered agreement or a ATL or LOI, letter of intent, certain proposals are at the letter of intent stage, but we prefer that it should be a registered agreement. In this case, it is a registered leave and license agreement, and therefore we give it 0.5 on 0.5. Rishi, what about the increment, rent start date, deposit, and notice period?
So in this case, we have 15% increment happening after every 3 years. Since this agreement was registered way back in June 2020, and there was a clause there was a rectification deed executed for increasing the lock-in period. That's the reason the increment is going to happen now 15% after the next 42 months. And that's the reason we have taken away 0.2 on this, and that's the reason 0.3 and 0.5 given to that. Rent start date, well, as soon as this asset gets subscribed, it will be immediate. That's the reason. It's an already ongoing asset. The agreement is in place. The tenant has already occupied the premise, so it will start immediately. So Jan 2023 is the date or year month we are putting across, and that's the reason 0.25 and 0.25. Deposit, in this case, we have only 3 months of rent as deposit. We always prefer that it should be 6 months and above, and that's the reason we have taken that 0.15. 0.1 from this, and that's the reason 0.15 and 0.25. Notice period, yes, we always encourage 6 months and above as a notice period. That gives a good enough comfort time for the landlord as well as the tenant to find a new space or a new client for each other. So 6 months, 0.25 and 0.25 for this. With this, we come down to know your deal as 2.2 on 2.5.
That takes our tally for know your deal to 2.2 on 2.25. Most clients are very keen to know kitna deti hai, and in this case it's 7.42, which is the net average ROI for the first 3 years. The reason why we are taking the average for the first 3 years is basically the asset managers typically do a top up in the first year, and then the ROI drops for the second and the third, and therefore the net average 3-year ROI is the true indicator according to us to judge a proposal. So Rishi, what about the tenant stickiness? Are they in and around the market rentals that they're paying, and have they spent money on the property?
Yes, Raj. So we are well within the price band of the market that's persisting there. The current rentals that are prevailing or the contracts that have been signed are in the price band of 84, 85 rupees going up to 95 rupees. And we are placed at 91.5. And there are some good graded tenants in the vicinity like SBI, you have Essentia in the market. So all in all, we know that we are at tandem and that's the reason we are going ahead with 0.5, 1.5. Capital expenditure by tenant, yes, in this case, the tenant has spent on the entire furniture and fixtures that they are using. This definitely speaks about the commitment and the time that they want to invest here and they'll be staying here for long. And again, this is the headquarters for this particular company, and that's the reason we can safely say that the tenant is going to stay. And this contributes. So 0.5, 1.5 this for this particular point as well.
Therefore, that takes our know your ROI to 1.7 on 2. Apart from the other parameters, it's also important to know who your asset manager is. So Rishi, tell us about it.
Yes. So in this case, Strata is the asset manager. They have done some fantastic work in last 2 years. We know the co-founder Sudarshan Lodha, who is also the CEO of the company. He is a lawyer by profession and has a fantastic backend team. They are backed by Elevation Capital. Gruhas, founders of Zerodha are part of Gruhas, and we have seen the kind of work that they have done in last 2 years. It's humongous. It's fantastic, and we know that they know their concepts well. They know what kind of transactions are being brought on the table. We have been constantly interacting with Sudarshan and his team to get lot of inputs on the assets. So all in all, we would want to go ahead with 0.5, 1.5 with this particular asset manager and the background and his team. Is this asset manager or the asset managing company profitable? Well, no, this is a startup. They have started close to around 3 years back and they are yet to be profitable. We soon expect them, but right now they are not. So 0 and 0.25. Client dashboard, yes, they have client dashboard to track your investments with Ledger, TDS, and even in real time. To be honest, and his team has done a fantastic work with this. They have a beautiful dashboard which is there for the partners and also for the investors and clients, where you can track where you can get all the documentations that are required on your taxation and on by your CAs and taxation basis on day-to-day basis. It is all real time. You can get these documents on the dashboard, and they are constantly improvising on that. So with this, we want to give them 0.25, 125. Raj, what's your take on the profitable exit, total asset under management, and the hurdle rate?
So whether they've given a profitable exit, not yet. So we give it 0.0 on 0.25 because like you said, they've only been around for 3 years and property exits typically, between 4 and 6 years is something that we can expect them to do. And coming to total assets under management, the reason why this is important is because while you may find a good proposal and put it out in the market, that's just the beginning. The entire process from there on to market, to get investors, explain to them, onboard them, and then all the steps after in terms of the paperwork, etc., needs to be streamlined. And we've realized that the more assets under management that they have, they get better and better with that. So we expect a minimum of 500 crores plus under management, and Strata has now more than 750 crores. So we give it 0.25 on 0.25 there. In terms of the hurdle rate, all asset managers have a carry. It's also called a performance fee, which is 20% over and above 10% in this case. I'd like to explain that further. Let's say you've invested 100 rupees and they get you a IRR of 12%, which is 12% year on year. So anything above 10%, which is the hurdle rate, they will take a carry or performance fee of 20% on that. In our example, because it's going to be 12 rupees on 100 rupees, and a performance fee will be levied on 2 rupees because 10 is the threshold in this case, which is the hurdle rate. So therefore, you'll pay 20% on 2 rupees. That's 40 paise. Why this is important and critical rather is because asset managers have skin in the game. Just by charging the asset management fee, they're not going to be able to make profits at the time when they exit and they get you a good deal, which means when they have to also consider the exit point, and which is why not only do they need to figure out the right asset, but also to buy it at the right price point. All these things become important. And therefore, while we would expect a 12% hurdle rate, they're giving us 10% in this case. So we give it 0.3 on 0.5. That our tally to know the asset manager is 1.3 on 2. And we now go on to knowing our 25 paise. Rishi, what is your 25 paise?
So, Raj, when we look at this particular asset or the proposal, We know that the location is good, it's fantastic. We know the tenant is also good, the industry in which the tenant is good. We have a fantastic asset which is there to play around with. You have a lot of infrastructure support and development that's coming in the location, which is going to further add. And the best part is the acquisition price. The price is really, really good to acquire this asset. So all in all, when we look at this entire matrix, I think it's a good asset to invest in. Of course, we would have been more happier to have an 8% ROI net for first 3 years, but this is good to go ahead with. That's the reason I think I'll give a thumbs up to this particular asset. Also, like Rajan mentioned, that we have done a physical Reiki for this particular asset. We will be more than happy to assist you for any other queries with regards to knowing the location in more detail, knowing the paperwork in more detail, and knowing about the asset in more detail.
So that brings our total to 7.9 on 10. And with that, if you have any queries, like Rishi said, please call us. Our numbers are on the screen. Please like the video and share the video. Also, if you think there's a way we could improve our videos, please comment and let us know. Thank you.
Thank you.